What if our community had a growing number of people who knew each other's name and story? What if building connections led to people working together? This team tells about their experiments built on trusting relationships that start with a cup of coffee. Here's Lance Patterson, Laurie Carr, Donna Davis, and Denise Gilliland.
Well, thanks for being here and letting us share our story. This is a first. There's 4 people talking, and so be ready for lots of quick changes, probably some stumbles, a few mistakes. But for the 4 of us, it started with what if. What seems like a long time ago, but is probably closer to 2.5 years, Carrie came to me with an invitation. The Community Foundation and the United Way wanted to see if they could understand collaboration a little better. So they asked 12 people from local nonprofits to come together to do, well, that was a little unclear. They said something about collaboration, leadership, and experiments. They did provide us with this guy, Ron Fisher. We will call him our unleader because he made it clear to us that he was not there to tell us what to do. And he was serious. We tried hard to get him to just tell us what we needed to do. He just stared back at us. That was more than just a little bit frustrating. Eventually, after lots of debate, confusion, and blank stares, we came up with our purpose. Finally, now we can get to work and do something, or so we thought. Actually, our purpose included those little words like leadership, collaboration, and experiment, right back to confusion. It became clear we needed to gain some understanding, develop a common language, get to know each other, and build some relationships, because until we started to know and trust each other, we wouldn't get very far.
The amount of coffee that has been consumed by this group has probably benefited some of our local coffee shops. There are several of us that continue to meet for coffee, sometimes to share ideas, other times just to continue learning about the person sitting across the table. As these meetings have taken place, several questions have been asked. One of those questions is, what if we are better together? To keep us in the game, we were asked to sign a contract. Laurie fully utilized this and reminded each of us that we signed the contract as she invited us to coffee. Her experiment led to many of us meeting for coffee. It was during one of these meetings that Lance and I started talking about how we could serve more youth by working together. Out of that conversation, the event Salt and Sauce was born. We raised funds to support a new program, Bigs at the Club. This experiment didn't take off the way we had anticipated. However, we were not done collaborating or experimenting. After suffering in an office without air conditioning, Skip Wilson, the CPO of Boys and Girls Club, extended an offer to share some office space. This move has not been without a few trials. The organizations are nearly 1.5 years into this successful experiment, yet Lance still does not have a door. In fact, he had to cut a hole in the wall to enter his office from the hallway. Don't fret, I can assure you 2020 is the year Lance will get a door. While I've moved on from Big Brothers Big Sisters, the groundwork that has been laid between these organizations will last a very long time. And the relationships will continue because all parties understand we are better together.
You're wondering about my cup of coffee question, right? So, what if we each develop quality relationships with unusual partners? What if we're able to join forces with people and organizations who don't have the same thinking as our own, or necessarily the same purpose or mission? Teaming up with the Hutch Arts Center, local artists, and community supporters, last year Bright House hosted our What Were You Wearing rebranding event. The upside is we gained an audience for our work in supporting victims of domestic and sexual violence, and the Art Center gained an audience of people who weren't familiar with what it offers the community. 2 very different missions acting with a common purpose. Another unusual partnership developed between Bright House and Stage 9, producing the Pulitzer-winning play, How I Learned to Drive, Reckoning with Sexual Abuse. This picture is a talkback after the show, staged so community members could share. We have different purposes, yet we enhanced our community together.
Last summer, there were several incidents among young people in our community that had me evaluating the resources that we offer. After much thought and deliberation, I had an idea and started to reach out to my community partners to see what we could do to help older teens and young adults. Lance and Jim Unruh have fully embraced this project and journey with me as we work together to utilize the resources we already have in our community to help these kids. Our goal is to develop a way for these young people to connect to their community and have access to resources to help them out of difficult situations. If not for the experiment we have been involved in the last 2 years, I never would have had the confidence to pitch this idea to so many.
During these multiple coffee meetings, we have built trust, relationships, and we've learned each other's stories. So what if we continue to grow this movement in our community and make it a point to get to know our neighbors and to get to know their stories? The story of hot dogs and haircuts has inspired us to be curious as to how to replicate this culture. I was taken back by how they simply met for coffee and they created a friendship which turned into a meaningful initiative. 4 people who would never dream of working together have created a movement, and this story was incredibly inspiring. This past year, a group of us had the opportunity to talk to leadership Reno County and discuss what inspires us and what ignites our passion for our community work. And we were asked, why get engaged when it's not part of your job? Well, my question was, what are the possibilities for our community if we did get involved? What if we had a growing number in our community using this common language, this great leadership language? So you see some logos here. What are the possibilities if we have a community of friends who understand, who know our story? A community of friends that are open to dreaming of where we can go together. And I'd like to really thank Community Foundation and United Way for giving us this fabulous opportunity of this experiment, and it's Donna.
So, what if you just invited someone new to coffee? All of us are curious about the possibilities. Join us at Carl's after the program or feel free to contact any of us. We'd love to continue this conversation.